Hello fellow soul travelers, and thank you for joining me again. Today, we will be exploring the interesting topic of self-love and what it means to truly love yourself. If it is true that you came to this earth plane to learn, why does it appear to be so difficult? If it is supposed to be a life of moving spontaneity, wonder, and beauty, then why does it so often appear other than that? In the end, my friends, we have to come to one basic reality, and that is, there come moments in your life when you realize that you have only one thing, and that is yourself. All the props you use during a lifetime to make yourself feel at ease in the world will eventually fail. You have been in relationship with others who have fed meaning into your life. Someday, you will awaken and find yourself alone. If you have children, they will grow up. If you have an important position in life, you retire or it is taken from you. If you have beauty, you become old. If you are powerful, in time, you become weak and infirm. Many will say that what they want more than anything is to know God. But what they truly want to know is how to get rid of all the things they feel that God does not love about them. More plainly, how to get rid of so-called negative emotions, such as anger or jealousy. But how do you get rid of something that is a part of you? Many creative ways are tried. The first way usually attempted is to withdraw from all of the situations and people that can cause anger, and to never enter in relationships which can cause jealousy. And, since those emotions make you feel less than you want to be, you can constrict your life, to rid yourself of them. In extreme cases, constriction leads to renunciation. And, whether you sit in a cave, or your house, the desire is to cut off all stimulation that might provoke those reactions you are trying not to feel. But, then comes the day when you leave the house, or come down off the mountain, and you go to your neighborhood store. Someone cuts into line in front of you, and your peaceful interior explodes into anger. When you finally realize that renunciation is not working, the next attempt is to will yourself not to be angry. Your face becomes a mask. A smile is fixed there and the jaw is rigid. You have to keep smiling, because if you start to relax, you might cry, you might scream, or you might do something else, deemed as inappropriate. You try, by your will, to override the emotions that are moving through you. And this works for a while, until one day, an unsettling event occurs. And, before your jaw can clench, you respond with the same feelings, and the same fears, you are trying to overcome. So now, you are back at square one. Concurrent with all these maneuvers, you are playing the wonderful game of manipulation. You manipulate the people in your universe, so that they will not bother you. For, if they are behaving, you will not have to misbehave. If your lover is very clear about not making you jealous, you will not feel jealousy. If you pick a boss that never gets angry, you don't have to deal with anger. So you manipulate your environment. You leave behind the things that are too hard for you to deal with, because you don't want to face that part of yourself. You move from one relationship to another, trying to find someone who will be a passive mirror for you, so that you do not have to see those negative aspects of yourself. But overall, it fails. You are left sitting with the understanding that you cannot rid yourself of the little demons that run around in you. And so comes another brilliant idea: you just let God do it. You can't do it. So, you will let God do it for you. Now you have to find God first. And then, ask God to take all these unpleasantries away for you. Haven't you all tried asking God to do this, one time or another? And, has anything changed? So, in comes the wonderful game of spiritual awakening. And, you begin a long process toward enlightenment. You go to the teacher, and read all the right books, and do all the right things, and chant all the right mantras, and at the end of this process, you hope to find God, and be free from your negative side. No matter what you do, or what kind of mental gymnastics you might perform, in essence, you will indeed remain yourself. You are who you are. The end product of experiences. So, you begin by acknowledging that you are who you are. When you have made this statement deep within your being, and are presented with the feeling of jealousy, for example, you can look around and see that you are trapped. You are trapped because you cannot get away from the feeling of jealousy. You are not going to get away, and you do not have to. Your life has been based on the supposition that there is something wrong with you that you've got to fix. I would like to suggest that there is nothing wrong with you. And you certainly do not need to be fixed. Your inattention comes from not loving certain parts of yourself. And you don't love them because you have been told not to by people who are ignoring those parts of themselves that they do not love. Your freedom comes from going within and saying with all the power of your being, I love myself in the midst of jealousy. I love myself in the act of anger. I love myself when I feel self-pity. Whatever it may be, in the midst of that feeling, in the midst of that thought, in the midst of that action, your freedom lies in saying, I love myself in this moment just as it is. I can sense the fear in some of your minds that if you love that part of yourself, you will be stuck with it for the rest of your life. I would like at this point to give you a cosmological view of what really happens in and around you when these emotions arise, and why acceptance is your way out. Please try to follow. The reality is this. Thoughts are in motion, and around you at all times. In the space in between you and your thoughts, there is something called your aura. Because of your individual tendencies, you choose certain thoughts as they go by, and draw them to you. You tend to pull in the same ones all the time, so you go down the same roads over and over again. Thoughts of unworthiness, of fear, of depression, depreciating, negative thoughts, again and again and again. Now an important point. When the thought comes in, it translates itself inside your physical body as a feeling. The feeling comes into you, and records itself, inside of what you would call your soul. At that moment, a future action is formed. Do you understand the process? The thought is out there. It comes through your auric field. It hits you. It's recorded as a feeling. Out of that feeling, within yourself, you formulate a future action. For example, a thought goes by, that a particular person doesn't like me. Anger is the feeling, and the future action is revenge. You came to the earth plane to experience the full range of emotions, and to become master of those emotions. Mastery comes by realizing that you can choose your responses. Which thoughts you pull in, and what actions you bring about in your life, are purely your choice. And what I'm suggesting to you today is that most of the thoughts you pull in are based on the belief that there was something wrong with you. That you are not lovable, and that you have to do something in order to be loved. I would like to reverse that process by asking you to begin a serious, ongoing commitment to the repetition of the mantra, which is simply, I love myself. In an instant, you can go from despondency to happiness. Try it in this very moment. Think of a happy thought, and you will be blissful. Now, think of a depressing thought. You will move to unhappiness. And here you are, just sitting in a chair, or on the couch, or on your bed. Has anything happened to you? Has anybody hit you? Has anybody loved you? No. You are simply sitting, and you find that you have the capacity to move from high to low. And all you do is change your thought. You already know how to do this, and you do it all the time. If it is true that you can sit quietly and change your mood in a moment, then perhaps it is also true that you can sit quietly and say with understanding, "I love myself," and begin to feel something happen inside your being. You will begin to feel a warmth. It is true that there is a flame, a fire within. There is a chakra that lights up through love. It is called the heart chakra. By resting in that feeling of love for yourself, you will begin to generate warmth. I would ask you to try for the next month to give yourself some time every day to simply sit and feel this warmth of self-love. Now, let us discuss what happens when a so-called negative emotion arises. You are sitting there, feeling warmth, feeling power, feeling wonderful, and the telephone rings. You pick it up and someone says, "You're a coward." Now, a feeling enters that was not there a moment ago. The process is in motion. The thought goes by, you pull it in, and you feel it. It feels like a large, heavy, sharp rock. So, you want to get rid of it. Your mind then starts the process of negating and denying whatever statement came through, but in the end, it doesn't work. You have tried it before, and it hasn't helped. What will work is this. The moment you sense that painful feeling within you, say to yourself, "I love this feeling. I welcome it. It doesn't have to go anywhere or change. It is a part of me. I accept this feeling." And the warmth, which is always there, moves over this rock and begins to smooth it, surround it, and make it porous. So, out of the power of your love for this rock-like feeling, it takes on the power of your love. It becomes filled with your love. Love pours through this unlovely feeling mass, surrounds it, uplifts it, and it becomes lovely. And through this experience, you find that you are capable of holding two things, your love, and that agony. Your love is so vast, that there is nothing that it will not hold, and, using that vastness, is what you've got to learn. No grief is so great, that you cannot hold it within you, and, also hold the vast power of your love, at the same time. You do not have to choose. You can have all the grief, you can have all the illness, you can have all the sorrow, all the regrets, all the guilt, and there is still no need to worry, because the love in your heart is so vast, it will hold anything. These emotions are your children. They are your children. All they want is your love. You have created them, and then you treat them like bastards. But you created them. When you warm these emotions, through your love of them, and through your acceptance of them, then the words transmutation and transformation become real. Once you decide that you are so vast, that you can hold anything, you will be fearless. Fearless, because you have learned, there is nothing that can come to you from this world that you cannot hold. There is no grief so great, no event so horrible, that you cannot hold it in you, smooth it, warm it, open up to it, and love it. For those of you who have had traumatic beginnings, do not run from them. Love them. Do not try to love the people who have harmed you. Please, love the feelings that developed inside of you as a result. Organized religion would have you say that your job is to love your neighbor. But there's a little line that comes after that, which is, as yourself. I would like to address this point. There is not one of you, listening now, that is not basically an entity who wants very much to love. And so, when you're presented with the dilemma of having been hurt by someone, and you want to love them, but cannot, because of the ache. You go through a lot of trying to love. That is honorable. The problem is that it doesn't work. And the reason it does not work is because you are asking yourself to do the hardest thing, which is give something to someone that you want for yourself. You want love. But you are asking yourself to give it to someone whom your feelings tell you does not love you. I would like to suggest another position. Love yourself for not loving them. Love yourself for not even liking them. Understand, I'm not talking about a mental process, I am talking about an experiential feeling, and there is not one of you that cannot feel the warmth in the heart that I am talking about, if you would give yourself the chance. When you start to love yourself for not loving, or even for disliking someone, this wonderful alchemy begins, and the entire situation takes on a warmth. You are no longer in a position of feeling badly, because you cannot love. When you finally understand that you can generate that which you have been desperately looking for outside of yourself, you become the master of your life. You have been looking for love, security, and peace outside of yourself. And the minute you find it inside yourself, you are the master. Not in the arrogant sense, but with a sense of wonder. Then, you are in a position to love somebody else, and not before. Because, until that moment, you are all asking each other for something, no matter how subtle you make it. And, if they won't give it to you, then you are hurt, you are sad, you are lost, you are unloved, and you are despondent. When mastery comes into your being, and you know that you love yourself, it is no longer an act of love, it is love in motion. And you feel it, no matter who is before you, because then the love is not personalized. So, the dog goes by, the child goes by, the neighbor goes by, the enemy goes by, and it's all the same. It is frightening to think of loving the enemy as much as your own child, but when you become love in motion, you are free. When you have done for yourself what you have begged, pleaded, bartered, and manipulated the world to do for you, the game is over. No game remains, because now you are love in action, and everything you do comes from that state of abundance. It does not mean that you do not want to be with people. However, it means that you do not need to be with people. There is a difference. Out of the centered wonder of your own being, you can be with others in a totally committed way, but not out of need, out of joy. Out of choice, not out of desperation. As you sit with yourself and begin to say, I love myself, there is going to arise a long list of things that you have judged as unlovable about yourself. I would love myself if I wasn't a drug addict, or if I wasn't jealous, or if I didn't have a bad temper, or if I wasn't so fat, or so skinny, and the list goes on. You have a long list that you may not have even thought about. I suggest that you physically write out your list. Get it out there, and then no matter how long it takes, reverse it. Say I love myself, while being a drug addict. I am talking about the willingness to love all the bastard parts of yourself that you have not allowed yourself to love before. Many of you think you were conceived in sin, and that from the very beginning, there was something wrong with you that you have got to figure out before you die. There is nothing wrong with you. What is wrong is your thoughts, and that is all that has ever been wrong. Because you have believed that unless you are perfect, you cannot have God's love in you. Which means you believe you are not capable of love. And that is a lie. Some of your parents have even said, if you have sexual relations before you are married, God will not love you. and you believed it. But not well enough not to do it, just well enough to feel guilty about it. Your nature is such that it wants to experience, and parents want you not to experience. You are in a paradoxical position from the beginning. The drama is set from the moment life begins, and the basic difficulty is in your believing the lie. I have told you that you did not create yourselves, but that out of the source, divine, God, you came, and just as every child is a part of the parent, so are you a part of the source, divine, God, and there is no way to escape it. Source, divine, God is within you. When you say, I love myself, you can feel a response, because within your physical body, there is an essence, a power, a substance, a light, that is there waiting to be kindled. For many of you, meditation has not kindled it, because you have not loved yourself. Each time you say, I love myself, and are willing to feel that love, you are turning up the power, fanning the flame, and letting the light in. You do not have to go out and find the substance of love because it is inside of you. By turning your attention toward self-love, you ignite the power of your love. There is no more love in any one of you than there is in another. There is no less love. There is no difference. Let's talk about this in terms of something simple like soup. You all have a bowl of soup in you. In the Christ's and Buddha's case, it is an ignited, powerful, moving ambrosia. It has a wonderful aroma, and because it is on fire, it warms them. And it motivates their lives and gives them a strong sense of aliveness. Your problem is that you have cold soup. And that is not a very large problem. Once you understand that, your job is simply to turn up the fire, and you will be your own master because you know exactly how to turn up your own fire. You know the things that make your life alive. You know the things that make your life feel worthwhile, and the things that make you want to get up in the morning and go about your business. And you also know the things that make you want to stay in bed and pull the covers over your head. So, for God's goodness, and I mean that, literally, do the things that you want to do. Things that ignite your life, your power, and a feeling of inner warmth. Stop doing the things that make you feel dead inside. The power within you, that moves at your command, to love and embrace the all of the emotions within you, is the love of God. Do not ever forget that you are that. You have always been that. You have never been anything other than a part of the source, divine, God. And that divinity, that everlasting divinity, is always there, moving at your command. And so, when you will it to embrace your agony and your fear, it does. It will hold them in an embrace of total acceptance. And in that embrace, you will not be agonized anymore. Do you think the Christ never cried? Do you think the Buddha never ached? You are not going to be less human, you are going to be wholly human. Because, in your wholeness, you will know those emotions are you, but they are not all of you. And in the amazing otherness of you, you embrace them, hold them, and love them. And, in that love, you are one with them. You become one with yourself, through the love of yourself, and all of the parts of you. There is no other way home, because you are home. And the wholeness of you is waiting. You are all of it. So please, stop trying to be less. I hope that this information serves as useful to you on your journey into infinity, my fellow soul travelers. Thank you so much for your attention.